A few days ago, Matt Rising released a video about our studio space. It was fun to make and we were grateful Matt exposed us to so many people. We were shocked, however, with the amount of engagement the video got. There were hundreds of good comments. So I thought I'd make a little video follow-up that deep dives into some of the more popular topics. The first thing I want to cover is our inspiration. The next is code, specifically fire code. There's a lot of questions about that. And the last one is going to be the construction itself. There are several details people are curious about that I'll break down in this video. Let's talk inspiration, or maybe a better phrase is rules of engagement. I want to tell y'all what I was trying to pull off, and you can judge for yourself whether or not I got close. So the first and most important thing is I needed to know that I could build this myself. Now, why? Well, buildings are expensive and unpredictable. The process is very difficult. Any builder knows that, and this is my very first building that I did on my own. I needed to know that if I ran out of money, or if the subs stopped showing up, or some other catastrophe happened, that my family wouldn't be at risk by having this perpetually incomplete project ongoing. So if anything happened, I needed to be able to wrap this up with a handful of hand tools I have at home. The other thing is, I actually wanted this to feel kind of like a shed or a workshop. This is an architect's office. We are architects that like to expose the structure, that like to work with the infrastructure like the plumbing and the electrical, stuff like that. So being in a space that does that in a raw and unfiltered way is aligned with our brand. So there was little risk in screwing this up, so to speak, because we're going to be here anyway. I don't have to sell this to anybody anytime soon. So it was an opportunity to explore an idea and take it as far as we could take it. So what about the code? There are a lot of comments where people are concerned about fire safety, and those are legit. But without knowing what code, what year, or what chapter or section you're talking about, it's kind of hard to know what code you're referencing. I can tell you what code I used. I used the 2021 International Residential Code as adopted by the City of Austin at the time of permitting and construction of this building. Now, I wrote up a little statement here so I can make sure to get through it pretty quickly, and I can tell you that drywall isn't generally required. The IRC only calls for gypsum in specific spots like garage separations and understairs. That's R302.6 and R302.7. For interiors, the rule is that wall and ceiling finishes must meet a flame spread index of 200 or less and a smoke development index of 450 or less. Standard wood and plywood does, R302.9. Our foam is on the exterior of the plywood, so the thermal barrier rule, R316.4, doesn't apply to the inside. The exterior foam is covered by metal cladding and attached via furring strips in accordance with R703.15, which is the IRC's prescriptive path for cladding over continuous insulation. The net, the assembly complies without interior drywall. Let's talk a little bit about the construction now. So here in this space, one of the big observations was that we sanded the wood, and we didn't. The plywood was already sanded. It's BC sanded plywood. It's not an X, so there's not that much off-gassing. But the lumber itself, you can see, we left as is. Now, we tried really hard to make sure that no one walked on it and it wasn't left in the dirt too long, but there you go. There are examples of the labeling. If I look around, you can see this is rough. This is not a finished product. I can get a splinter if I try hard enough. Now, another thing is the window heads. So it looks like, because what you are looking at is a single top band. You can't really call it a top plate. But that's not all. So each one of these windows has that, but then it is bucked out with two 2x4s that are built out because the window sits proud of the actual siding. It's proud of it by 3 inches. And for the big window and the door, it's actually a band of 4 ripped 2x10s. I can open this up. Hopefully you'll be able to see this right there. So you can see, there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4 2x coming in and forming the header of this window. And the header of this window keeps on going, but it's notched in to the 2x6s that form the studs, and then keeps on going outward. And it's actually carrying the weight on that column, which is Schedule 40 fence post, or I think it's Schedule 40. So that's what's going on there. Let's talk about the base. So this is where everything is run. So underneath this, you can unscrew the stainless steel screw, take this guy off, and you can get to these electrical outlets all along the base. And there's something over here, actually outside of this wall, is the breaker box. And the breaker comes in here, and all the wiring is fed that way and that way. I don't have any actual normal lights up above, but you can see that it is lit. And it's lit because I used Philip Hue tape lights that are low voltage. I routed into the top of those 2x, put it in, fixed it, and then ran the low voltage wires up into this rafters up there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a little black cable up there, which is like a Cat 6 or 7, something like that. And then that runs into the attic space, which is right over here, which I already have open, so I'm gonna crawl up through here in a second. Now for the microscopic attic. So there is the cheap Amazon dehumidifier sitting on top of my ductless ducted mini split. And there is one duct going to one room and the other going to the other. And then all of the hardware that I have. Also, if anybody's curious how we heat our water, we have a tiny electric hot water heater installed in the upper cabinet. Put a microwave in front of it. If you made it all the way through the video, thanks, I appreciate that. If you have questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them.